Welcome to a special edition of the Cinetopia Radio Show and podcast. I'm Amanda, your host, and on this month we're bringing you comprehensive coverage of the 2025 Edinburgh International Film Festival. From the screens of the Cameo to the Filmhouse Cafe, we've been immersed in one of Scotland's most celebrated festivals. This episode is packed with our reviews, interviews, and insider perspectives from this year's remarkable festival lineup. We'll be sharing our thoughts on some standout films, including Eva Victor's highly anticipated Sorry Baby, Ben Wheatley's Midnight Madness world premiere Bulk, the neo-noir drama Islands featuring Sam Riley and Jack Farthing, and Undine Vignal's wild and wonderful feature Two Neighbors. But that's not all. We've had the privilege of sitting down with some extraordinary filmmakers making their mark at EIFF 2025. You'll hear our exclusive interviews with the director of The Golden Spurtle, some of the cast and the director of Novak discussing their world premiere here at the Fest, and Julie Pacino as she shares her first feature, I Live Here Now, after a run at Locarno. Plus, we've captured conversations with a host of actors and directors who've brought their passion and creativity to Edinburgh this year. Join us for our coverage of the 2025 Edinburgh International Film Festival. This is the Cinetopia Show on EIFF, and we start right now. Before we dive into our festival coverage, we want to tell you about our upcoming Cinetopia doc screening. We're presenting Mistress Dispeller at the Filmhouse on the 17th of September, so save the date. This remarkable documentary follows Wang Zhenxi, part of China's growing profession of mistress dispellers hired to maintain marriages and break up affairs by any means necessary, offering intimate access to private dramas usually hidden behind closed doors. It follows a real case as teacher Wang attempts to bring a couple back from the edge of crisis. Tickets are coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. We also want to invite you to join our new platform, Cinetopia Connect. It's your space to share events and opportunities and connect with filmmakers, film professionals, and fellow film lovers. Whether you're looking to collaborate, network, or just find your film community, visit cinetopiaconnect.com and be part of our growing network. Hello, and we're here at, we're not at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, but we just walked from the Edinburgh International Festival, most of us, sitting in our rooms and around to talk about what we've been doing this week. So I'm here with a very, very regular, we saw you last month, Clara Strachan. Clara, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm clinging on to health currently. Yeah, I'm drinking tea to kind of ward off the demons, and I think it's working. And yeah, I've been enjoying the festival a lot this year. It's been very good.
Yeah, and you made a little cameo on our socials. It was delightful.
Under
So
duress.
anyone who
Under
has never
duress.
seen Clara, because we are a radio show and podcast, you have seen her now. I think it was very, very popular. People really actually, people are taking our advice from our recommendations, and that is who
That's
I'm
good.
going to introduce next, not new to Cinetopia, the better half of Cinetopia, basically, but Emma Jamieson,
I'll take it.
and it's your first time on the Cinetopia Radio Show and podcast.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Here I
so
am.
welcome. And we, Emma and I did a lot of the press lines and interviews this month. So we're going to delve a lot into that, bring in a lot of those interviews as part of the show. I think we have a lot of exciting things to talk about. Overall, I just wanted to get some of your impressions on this year's festival. We've been all going to this festival for at least, I think all of us, about 4 years now. So, and longer for some of others. So what's your overall impressions?
I'd say this is probably going to shape up to be quite a memorable one. Yeah, I think the films have been quite impactful on my little psyche, actually.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I feel like I've been on an 8-day trip. There's a lot of very trippy films. No, I've never done the film festival this intensely. Normally I dip in and out and I see a couple of films and I catch up with people. This was just high volume intensity and a lot of super trippy psychedelic movies that have been quite in your face, which is good, but it's, it's a lot. It's full
Yeah.
on. Good.
Yeah, the subject matter has been quite satisfying, I'd say. Like, I mean, it's satisfying that when the world is burning and when things are going tits, and everything is scary and confusing, that you can go into the cinema and then kind of experience something cathartic in the sense that it's also very unhinged and also deals with some of those topics. So you can get to mull it over in a sort of new creative way. That's what I'm finding, at least. So yeah, if that's not a glowing endorsement, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. It's been really fun.
I think I might have seen more films last year than I did this year. That could be wrong, but it felt like I did. I think that, or maybe it's that some of the films feel similar. Like you're saying, like similar vibes. But we definitely did more interviews. Yeah, it's definitely been a different feeling than even the year before. So I think I didn't get to do as much industry stuff this time around. I think, Emma, you were doing a lot of industry last year. There's been the obvious introduction of the film house back into the mix. So venue wise, we kind of have this like Lothian Road corridor, which is sort of nice. So you can kind of just bounce back and forth between the two venues. And then there's a central hub venue as well. But quite a lot of really interesting people here. Renee Zellweger made a surprise. No one knew, but I
I heard
guess.
Willem Dafoe was
Oh,
Skulker and the Canada. I know. I'm really disappointed too. I got home and then I saw someone posting about it and I was like, fuck, it's so close to just going back.
Oh my gosh. I would have stayed up 24 hours to see Willem Dafoe.
we had Andrea Arnold, Nia DaCosta, the Kevin McDonald and Andrew McDonald brothers, and we had all the filmmakers we're going to talk about today, and plus more. So let's get into some of our favorite films. Actually, I have one more question for you. Were there films that we sort of recommended or thought we wanted to see and then kind of were disappointed, or we had different sort of impressions of them other than the ones we'll really go into details about?
I was super excited for Dominic Mole's new film because I watched The Night of the 12th, which I think was 2 years ago now, and it won like 12 César Awards. And I love crime procedurals and French movies, and I really hyped up Case 137 in my mind. And I didn't dislike it, but it felt so processed. I mean, to the point of kind of, incredibly ploddy, which was not at all what I was expecting. I can't say I didn't like it, but it really kind of dragged a bit for me. So that was a bit disappointing.
I have I've had a similar experience with the documentary Once You Shall Be One of Those Who Lived Long Ago. I made a joke about the title kind of dragging out, and so I feel kind of bad now complaining about the film dragging a little bit. And I feel bad because it was so artful and so languorous and so beautiful, and the access that this person got, and like looking at a microcosm of the environmental issues that are incumbent with mining is a very important subject. But I just don't think I could take any more of listening to poor elderly people who are lonely being lonely on camera. I just was so depressed. But yeah, it was gorgeous, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I think it was more of a study of people and loneliness and community than it was about environmental issues. However, I mean, I would still recommend it. But I mean, it was gorgeous, but I don't think I needed to listen to a man debating whether or not he should get cremated or not for about 5 minutes.
I'll add to the mix. I was really excited to see the experimental shorts, and because we really liked the Koki Chow, which I didn't really consider. Was that an experimental film? I didn't know. I thought it was more of a
I mean,
documentary.
from the
And
point of view that the co-director, co-writer was a bird, if you take that at face value, then
fairly,
yes.
that's experimental documentary, definitely. Authorship still unknown if it's the real bird or the not real Tito bird, hence it could be
In a pasta.
plagiarism. Experimental in that sense, but yes, I enjoyed seeing that film again, but the rest around it I didn't really enjoy as much. And it actually kind of disappointing because I feel like it kind of, obviously short film programs are all about the pacing and about what you see before and after and sort of and the flow. And I feel like it kind of didn't, if I had seen Koki Chow in that grouping, I wouldn't have I just wouldn't have maybe liked it as much as I did when I originally saw it at your suggestion at Berlinale. So little slight disappointments there, but overall, I was really impressed by all the films and the opening film and the closing film. I really enjoyed. So we'll get into all of them as we go through this show. So starting off, we'll begin with Sorry Baby.
Oh my God! I made it! Do you miss me, even though you're married?
So grown up.
It's so grown up.
School was like, grad school was,
I like it here, though.
Are you sure?
What are you up to this fine evening?
I was wondering, do you have, like, stuff that makes a fire?
Why do you need it?
My friends and I were gonna make, like, hot dogs.
Hot dog sounds good.
I'm sorry, we only bought 2 hot dogs.
That's a lot, right? Still being here.
Oh, it's a lot to be wherever.
Something pretty bad happened to me.
Did it just happen?
No. It was a little over 3 years ago.
Well, that's not that much time.
I know this is hard to talk about.
It doesn't feel that you know that.
We know what you're going through. We are women.
What?
I know you're scared, but you're okay.
There's some ways people treat you like you're a person who lives and breathes and thinks for themselves. And then some ways people treat you are not that way. I can feel in my body that it was really bad. But there's a reason, even if I can't see it, that I'm alive. I got a cat.
Whatever you need.
So the first film that we're going to talk about is the opening film of Edinburgh International Film Festival. It got a big Sundance buzz, and so we were excited that this was going to be the UK premiere. Sorry Baby, written, directed, cast, starring Eva Victor and Clara. Tell us about this film.
Yeah, so following a traumatic incident that comes out of the blue, a young woman named Agnes moves through life as an academic on campus, first as a student and then as faculty in a somnambulist shuffle. As her best friend and former classmate arrives to pierce her lonely bubble, we gain insight into how she sees her future, as well as her past and her really stilted present.
Great. So, Emma, you talked to Ava, and we were there together, and just wanted to know if you had what you asked them about the film.
Yeah, so Ava actually has a background as a stand-up comedian, and so they spoke a little bit about how they were able to bring that comedy background into the writing of this script, which is quite unusual given the subject matter. So we'll let Ava talk to us a little bit about that and play that clip.
I definitely made the film for a version of myself that needed a film that was talking about this hard thing but was focused on healing and trying to find joy through healing. I made the film to feel more like a hug and less like a shock. I wish I could write a dramatic film and not have anything funny happen, but I seriously don't. Every time I try to write something serious, someone falls downstairs and I'm like, haha. So I don't totally know how to do that. I also think laughing and crying are in a lot of ways physically the same thing, and we're all kind of craving release, and laughing is a release that I'm used to in my own life, and there's a lot of reasons why we laugh watching things, and it's not just because something's funny. Sometimes it's because we recognize it, sometimes it's because it's pointing a finger at the right person and it feels like it's making fun of the right person. I look to humor as sort of an experience of truth too. I think that's why comedians make really good horror movies too. It's because we're all just looking for someone to say what's true, and comedians do that, and so do good filmmakers.
From Eva's words to our thoughts, what do you think about this film?
I really loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for how much I would like it and how it would and what it would do to me, frankly. Because I'd seen the marketing in the trailers, in the cameo a fair few times, and I was like, okay, it looks kind of nice, like, but I wasn't super taken in by the marketing. And I know by this point I should know better than to sort of trust and judge based on trailers and marketing, but I really was a bit like, meh. Yeah, but yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised, and I'm really impressed because this is Victor's first film. And yeah, and even they even mentioned in the Q&A after the screening that they weren't really even into films. Like they wouldn't consider themselves like necessarily a cinephile, but it was actually during the pandemic when they were feeling sort of lonely and depressed that they got into sort of the medium. And then from there was encouraged through their relationships in the industry because of their background to make the film, and it's just so impressive. I think it's really beautiful, but well scripted, and there's really perfect world building and creation there, and yeah, the whole film had the quality of an Adrian Lenker music video, I thought, which is a compliment. Yeah, loved it.
Yeah. I'm like you. I really loved it, but I went in blind, which I'm really glad about. I went in not knowing anything at all. And for the first 10 minutes, I was like, ooh, this is Greta Gerwig vibes, Lena Dunham, sort of Alexander Payne vibes. But then that coziness that could come with that sort of develops into something much more, well, there's obviously a trauma element to the story, but it's so rich. There's this incredibly balanced group of friendships between Agnes and her best friend, Agnes and the kind neighbor. It feels like an incredibly mature film for someone's debut. There's a lot happening in it. There's a real visual richness which developed through the film for me. I absolutely loved it. I really, really did. And I discovered that Ava B had shadowed Jane Schoenbrunn, who made I watched the TV Glow. I saw the TV Glow,
Yeah.
which inspired some of the sort of darker tones of the film, which, yeah, iconic as far as I'm concerned.
Kind of, it reminded me of Ghost Story in those sort of chilling, haunting moments, and sort of but also being very beautiful. I think it did so well in handling certain cliches that it kind of skirts over in terms of like narrative and storytelling, but it just bypasses that. Like where that would usually kill a film dead, often in many cases, especially a first film. It really doesn't. It just works so well. And I think when you're making a film about trauma, it can be either so pandering or so like trite, or mawkish, or it could just be completely oppressive. But it very much isn't. I think it handles trauma in a very real way, in how it manifests, or more how it haunts in insidious ways, like how like an ebb of fear and paranoia can creep in, the small lies, secrecy, the stalling of your life, and just struggling and just having your day ruined out of the blue. It struck me as just like a film. Once I'd watched it and sort of processed it, it struck me as a film about the kind of things that we're all sort of carrying around with us, but just seeing it up close and like seeing behind the curtain of that and being in someone's home. It's such a domestic film, and I really love that. It's like takes place within this gorgeous house. Yeah.
I want to make a specific mention of the place, and like and the fact that it was shot in, like, it looks like Massachusetts, or it feels a little bit like Maine. I do think, Clara, you had mentioned that they during the COVID pandemic went up to Maine and sort of wrote the script. But as someone who went to school in a very similar school, the moment when kind of the shift in tone of the film changes, I sort of like knocked Emma in the cinema, and I was like, oh, I do not miss this this lifestyle at all anymore. And it was like the moment of like the ominous moment where things really do shift. And well, I think the other thing that not only are they capturing this place of kind of like academia, like very almost like suffocating, judgmental sort of oversight of your, of your life and behavior, while also very quaint, quaint and beautiful. It's obviously like very beautiful place to live. I'm not saying that. It does with that the element of the story involving such a traumatic experience, um, make make that suffocatingness or the fact that it's such a small sort of space really hard to kind of escape, and also really hard to process how to escape or how to manage life afterwards. And I think, Emma, you had read a little bit later about what they had said about why they wanted to make a film about, what happens to those who are quietly dealing
Mm.
with the pain of trauma. And I think that like comes out in the subtlety of both the performances, which overall all of the performances and the chemistry of of the characters are extremely good, but also the sense of humor. So had to be able to kind of, I mean, I think they say like they always with humor punch up. So you're making fun of the people who are really not are not treating the victims or the people,
Mm.
the main character with respect and empathy. So the humor is towards their behavior. And I think there's I mean, it's such a hard thing to make that kind of tone, but it's done so artfully well. And it's with that subtlety of grace and sort of just nuance that a good writer does. And so it's like this is incredible for a first film debut to see that kind of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about about EIFF is always those experiences where you watch a film and then immediately the director or someone instrumental in the film just like walks onto the stage and just like answers questions that have been piling up in your mind. So and I think Eva Victor's chat afterwards was so valuable to me. I find it so fascinating, especially when they were talking about the elements of comedy, because obviously Eva Victor stars in the film as well as has written it and directed it. And they said that they were actually unaware of how the awkwardness of Agnes, the main character, was so funny to the audience. And when the audience was reacting, they were like, "Oh, I didn't really expect that." So, and then they also spoke about the process of working with editors and that collaborative process and working on that conciseness of story. And as you say, like the punching up and we're debating whether or not things are appropriate. So there's a scene with involving a doctor, a male doctor, important to note. And there was a debate apparently with the editors about whether or not a scene like that could be light and could be funny. And sort of working on that and like really building up the scene and the structure of it and the way that it felt and just and making it work. And it really did. So it was really interesting to hear that process.
Yeah. I mean, and that particular scene also around friendship, which like, it's like when you're in a room and you clock that kind of really bad behavior between you and your friend. I
Totally.
thought that was just really, really like really interesting, and great. And I really, really loved the friendship over time. I also have to say, like, we haven't talked about like narrative. We will talk a lot about like there's a lot of chapters and the films we've seen, but in this case, I don't I think I wasn't very like 100% on the Outrun last year, which was the opening film of the Edinburgh International Film Festival. But there
Cool.
was like all this back and forth flashback, go forward,
Cool.
and the way that you could sort of deal with the like confusion around this was the hair color, and that was the thing. I think this one had a really interesting way of dealing with like before and after and not doing a linear story. And the reason why the story jumped back and forth really did help again this change in tone, the change to the understanding of the main character's own process of dealing with trauma. So I think everything about that worked really well.
Yeah. Shout out to Naomi Aki, who also delivered a standout performance as the best friend.
It
I
really,
thought,
yeah.
yeah, I
Aki's
thought that
performance
character
really
was
lifted it.
so rich and so beautiful to watch them together as a friendship.
I was watching an interview with Aki and Eva Victor, and 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 Aki's saying like that they accepted the film because, and they didn't want it to sound bad or like they were lazy, but because it sounded easy, like compared to other scripts, it was people talking to each other, having real conversations, and she was really craving like having a genuine conversation and a connection, just playing out in a real space. And I think the film does that so well. Just like it has really great conversations, and conversations that you can relate to and that you recognize, which just builds on the reality and the richness of the film and really contributes to that. Yeah, there's been chapters in, I think, every film that we're going to speak about, actually. It seems to be a popular method of warping time among filmmakers. And yeah, in the post-film Q&A chat, Eva Victor mentions the chapters and talks about time specifically, and is talking about how there's time is sort of meant to be disorienting, and it's meant to be crunched down, so you're just seeing all of the through lines of this person's life relating to that experience, and the person who has had this indelible impact, a defining impact. And I think the way that they put it, to quote, is that it was nice and relieving. There's something nice and relieving about chapters, both from a filmmaking point of view and as an audience, because it allows to present the purest version of this person's life in that year and those emblematic moments, and it forces you to be really concise and incisive and have nice little parameters where you have to put in these moments and then bookend them and look at them, and I think it works really well.
Well, Sorry Baby I think it's a win-win for all three of us. There were some people who I don't think completely loved it as much as we did. It was interesting. I think that sometimes people think the first film needs to be maybe more dramatic or something. But again, the greatness is in its subtlety, and I'm really happy to have seen it, and I really strongly recommend people seeing the film when it comes out in cinemas. But it's also coming out, luckily, in a couple days. So it's the 22nd of August. You can see it in cinemas in the UK. If you're in the US, you can see it already. It's probably on streaming. But yeah, so check it out, and we'll move on to our next film.
I don't call it that.
Bulk.
What do you know about that?
Run. Don't walk.
They nicknamed it the Brain Collider because of what it did to people's minds.
Bulk.
It was designed to take every moment of your being and merge them together. Another dimension. Another dimension. Another dimension. Another dimension.
That's fascinating.
Another dimension.
Interview 106.
Were you flirting with me?
Corey Harlan.
This isn't right, Anton.
The Boat.
4.
The Island.
I've been here before.
The bulk is unstable. There's a chance of a reality quake.
Entering the distortion zone.
Great. So, I don't remember getting here. I don't know why I'm here. And in the end, I won't remember anything about it.
We are sorry for this captain. Room 1. Attacking! This is not a drill. This is a full-blown disaster.
Bulk.
Please. No more trucks.
Okay, so the next film we're going to talk about is Bulk, which was also having its premiere on the first night. This is the world premiere of Bulk. It is the famed filmmaker Ben Wheatley's latest film, and who has a quite an interesting assortment of different kinds of films. And so it was it was a big deal for the film festival to get the world premiere, and also at the Midnight Madness slot, which is a new slot for the film festival, but a very fun one, bringing a lot of genre sort of film into. Last year we had Substance, which we all talked about a lot this year, and it's obviously had its buzz. But yeah, we asked Ben what he thought a quintessential Midnight Madness movie was, and here's his take.
I think what it means to me is film that is for itself, but also for an audience that enjoys stuff that's really weird. And it's also like those kind of movies that you would probably watch on in the 90s on Channel 4 accidentally, or a kind of thing that would have been programmed at the Scala at the time. You'd go, what is this weird shit? I'll go and see it. You know, they're kind of my favourite films. And if you're asking what movies are like that, I mean, I remember seeing The Bed Sitting Room like without seeing the credits for it, so I didn't know what it was. Turned it on, and like, what the fuck is that? And then, but I think the original one is Eraserhead, and basically from Eraserhead you get a whole the midnight scene, and it makes all of like repertory cinema kinda.
That's Ben's take. And Emma, tell us what this film is about.
I think we're allowed to say, because I believe Ben Wheatley would agree, that this is a very weird and wonderful film that kind of defies any standard definition, because it is a sort of combination of experimental sci-fi, slightly theatrical. It has the end of the film closes with about 3 handwritten pages of Ben Wheatley's inspirations for the film. So that's how many influences came into the making of. And it is exactly that. You do not know what's going to happen from one minute to the next. It's based on string theory and a mad scientist whose experiment goes wrong. There's multi-dimensional portals. It's black and white. It jumps in and out of realities. It's got collage. It's got melodrama. It's got, breaking the fourth wall. So I don't think it can be put in a box, which I think is why it's fun to watch. You can't put your finger on exactly where it sits in the film world. It's a trip. It's definitely a midnight movie.
I mean, it's certainly a pastiche, and as you said, the complete credits, which were like handwritten, really DIY style, which I really loved. Like if you could catch them all, we were all writing down stuff that, obviously it reminded you of. I was really proud to say that I thought it was Alphaville, which, by the way, I didn't understand when I first saw it because it was in French and I had just moved to Paris. And so it was like watching it in French, and it was very bizarre. But I was like, this is really bizarre. I don't know what's going on, but I kind of like it. And I feel like that's how I feel about the film. At the same time, I wasn't 100% sure what was going on, but I kind of liked it. So I had this whole Alphaville thing. And then when we asked Ben and Sam to talk about some of like their inspirations, Alphaville was the first thing. So I was like, woohoo. But other than that, I think we all get different things from this, because clearly Ben is watching tons of movies, these Midnight Madness sort of movies, and he's putting all of these sort of inspirations in, which is what makes it fun, even if sometimes the worlds kind of collide and it's very like it's a little bit hard to sort of put them all together.
Absolutely.
I preferred his work in The Meg 2, starring Jason Statham personally, but I'm actually going to watch it tonight. Very much what you said. So we had fun kind of comparing notes of what kind of influences we saw, and like we had some overlap, and then there was a whole roster of new ones which we hadn't covered. So I think three pages of influence doesn't even really cover it. Some, like, for example, some of the things I wrote down were if the Channel 4 TV show Look Around You were to have carnal relations with the Thunderbirds and the Seventh Seal, then that would be kind of where we are. But I think Ben Wheatley said that, didn't he? He said like, I wanted to make something that would have the feel of something that you flicked onto by accident in the 80s on Channel 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we're just a bit
Thunderbirds
disoriented by it, and we're just like,
was definitely listed for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved seeing the practical effects. That was really satisfying and fun. So obviously Ben Wheatley has why I love him so much as a filmmaker is because you are surprised by him. Like, I didn't even realize that The Meg 2 was directed by Ben Wheatley until today. And my boyfriend tried to help me. I was watching it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I can't be doing the Jason Statham film." And now I'm like, I will watch this tonight. I am not going to bed until I've watched this movie. So you have to hand it to him. Like, he's capable of doing all these different kinds of films. And so this film sort of had to happen. This film where you take practical effects, really old school practical effects. So things like, sort of Ray Harryhausen-esque effects, where you got like for example, he was using like a miniature, like a tiny little helicopter, for like a Playmobil helicopter, and then use of forced perspective and illustration, and being really tongue-in-cheek and really meta about it and self-aware about it, which you can either really lean into and really enjoy, or you can sort of roll your eyes at it depending on your mood or however you're so inclined. But I think the more I look back on it, the more I really enjoy it, and I really appreciate what I saw and all the tongue-in-cheekness of it and how local it was.
Yeah. It felt like the kind of film I would have expected. So when you used to go to the video store, for the older listeners,
And formerly the Filmhouse Foyer.
for those elder millennials that remember
Yeah.
video stores, it
6 years
feels
ago.
like a kind of film where if you wanted to chat up the cool person who worked in the video store, you'd ask them like to recommend a super weird, culty, stuck at the back of the shop video, and this is what they would give you, and you'd feel like really cool because you'd seen it.
Yeah. Or you could go down to the Nickel Cinema in London, because he'd
Or you could
probably
go
be
to the
playing it. Or Alex Ross Perry will tell you about it, which we won't go back into Pavement's world. But yeah, no, I once heard someone talk about Ben Wheatley as being part of the British weird wave, and I love that idea, because I think it is weird wave, and he loves new wave and all those sort of like Eraserhead and Lynchian stuff, and you're seeing all, like I said again, all this sort of collage of different different wonderful sort of cinematic weirdness that we all love, and it's thrown together in something that that makes sense to some of us and doesn't make sense to all of us, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it is very on the nose with what it's trying to do and what it's trying to say, and it is very achingly meta, but to quote the film, sometimes it takes a blunt tool.
Fair enough. Uh, yeah. Anyway, well, that was Bulk, and it will, yeah, I'm sure you'll see it somewhere. Wherever you can find it, go see Bulk. Most likely at midnight, or at a weird wave kind of time. So that's our take on Bulk. Third film we're going to talk about is the one film that's in one of the films that was in competition. I saw about 3 or 4 that were in competition, and I think Two Neighbors is a really good one to talk about, because it was really wild and interesting, and I think it sort of grabbed us from the pictures that we saw about the film as well. So Clara, tell us what Two Neighbors is.
Yeah, so Two Neighbors. Tying together the classic notorious 4chan incel Becky / Stacy evolution meme and the dark and unhinged Aesop's fable of the same name, Two Neighbors is a wild ride, a campy, satirical parable of our time. It tells the tale of what happens when a wealthy socialite named Stacy, played by Chloe Cherry, and a dowdy, struggling writer named Becky, played by Anya Chalotra, are thrown together at a debauched party alongside a supernatural trickster character who may or may not be the devil. So yeah, it is as you'd expect from that description. Insane. It's really fun. It's raucous, but also artful and kind of beautiful and surreal at moments. So, in my opinion, I thought many scenes looked like Cindy Sherman or Gregory Crewdson had a hand in creating them. And it's very on the nose, and definitely did that sort of like enervating thing of having like a rockin' conventionally hot woman having a taking off her glasses to become hot moment. But it was so fun and so satisfying nonetheless. And yeah, it was actually quite cathartic, even though it was very, very unhinged. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I loved it a lot. I think we'll be talking about another film later on that had like I feel like other Emerald Fennel vibes, but I clearly got a lot of Saltburn vibes, but like a Saltburn party I would more want to go to
I wrote
than
Saltburn on shrooms
yeah,
in my
exactly. It
notebook.
seems like a more fun Saltburn than the previous one. And also loved not knowing where the heck we were, you know what I mean? Obviously we're in like like I think the play on the idea of you know, American aristocracy or the idea of what people think is what aristocracy and class, and yet it's so fabricated and strange.
Yeah.
You know, certainly Emma and I, like, again, watching it in the same space, we're sort of picking out characters that feel like people you see on TV or maybe political
Same.
characters
Same.
multiple times. So I think there was just a lot to take from our own culture right now, whether we like it or not. And in this just absolutely mad world that we got to spend time in.
I think, yeah, I really enjoyed looking at like a trashy Baroque America. Heightened.
And yet that was definitely an English house it was filmed in, which I think is where it became so bizarre.
Weird, yeah.
Because it's this sort of grotesquely rich American family cosplaying English aristocracy in their manor house that's also just slightly obscene in its interiors. And that scene where they all dress up in sort of Tudor costume.
Like Velasquez kind of.
Yeah, I just love the sort of absurdity and these really grotesque characters who are in an era of like quote unquote AI slop and OnlyFans and like you said 4chan. It's that whole world. The whole film feels like a meme of itself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No.
It's really heightened. All the colors. It's like that slightly acidulated
Yeah,
color
no,
scheme as well. I really loved.
I mean, exactly. I think it's playing, like you said, I think it's actually been filmed in England, but it plays on this whole, you know, 100, 200-year sort of phenomenon of these robber baron sort of old families that have this like Gold Coast, like, let's make it, you know, let's make our home look like a Versailles chateau, you know? So this obsession with, um, you know, gold
Opulence.
and gold plated stuff. And it being so absolutely off.
Yeah,
Gaudy.
gaudy, for sure. I have to go through the influences that that the director put on the two neighbors Instagram account. They were posting like 10 films that are really influential, and they're just so fantastic. It gives you a real idea. So they are Melancholia, Night of the Hunter,
Ooh,
Showgirls,
nice.
Doctor
Ooh.
Strangelove, A Z and Two Knots, Darkened Room, Festin, The Century of the Self, and Willy Wonka.
Yes.
The Gene Wilder
Yeah.
need I say. There is only one in my
Yes.
eyes, but you know.
Yeah, there is only one Willy Wonka.
Exactly. To be absurd. And yeah, it is very much all of those things.
And there's been some I found it interesting. I heard a few people who weren't so hot on the casting of Chloe Cherry and thought that was a
Oh, yeah.
bit on the nose or exaggerated. And then I've read that actually the role was deliberately written for her in mind specifically. So
I would say that, like, I really enjoyed the casting in this film. Like, I think that, like, not anybody I really know except Ralph Ineson, and honestly, you had to really tell me who he was, but, you know, he is a important actor and brought a lot of weight to the film for sure. So he was they were bringing in pretty great talent, but also a lot of new, like, interesting actors that you might not know. And so I think it was like I actually think the casting was quite phenomenal and just super fun.
Yeah, I thought Anya Tolotta's performance was really good. I thought it really brought like heft to the story. Also, Jake Simmons, who plays sort of like a oh god, what sort of Republican-y, like MAGA incel kind of rich boy
Oh,
character.
yeah, we called the Pete Hegseth character.
Yes, known as Pete. I thought he was just so like ridiculous and so like I'm just so happy that that kind of character has been like immortalized on screen in cinematic history and will be sent up forevermore in this ridiculous way. I thought honestly the gym scene with him in his bedroom, the bedroom
Yeah.
gym was just
Yeah.
so hilarious. So I went to the premiere, which was like a late night premiere, and it was just like a total riot of a screening. Like people were like clapping and shouting and whooping, and that scene was just everyone was creasing it, and me along with them. It was very good.
Yeah, I think it would have been great to see it in the Midnight Madness, and I'm glad to hear that it was yeah, it was very loud and everyone had a great time with that.
See it in the flesh in the cinema if you can, for sure. It deserves to be seen on a big screen.
Yeah,
and
with a
again,
lot
it
of
also used
people
actors.
and rowdy people if you can, just people who want to have fun, watch a wild ride of a
Go for a
film.
pre-drink. Go for a pre-drink. This get fired up.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's Two Neighbors, and we liked it. We enjoyed it. So check it out when you can.
That was good.
Tom, right?
It's me.
I'd like to book some tennis lessons for my son. We really need this holiday to be perfect.
Yeah. I think you guys just need to get out and explore the island.
You could take us. It is such a nice day.
The volcano's going to erupt.
You never know.
I'm sure you said all of this was temporary.
I don't remember ever saying that.
You did.
The police were here, talking to security.
Even in a place like this, people want to pretend they're somewhere else. Just a bit strange.
What are you running away from?
I'm not running away from anything.
Wait!
Like it here.
All right, so the final film we're going to review is Islands. It premiered originally at Berlinale. I believe we are getting the UK premiere here at Edinburgh International Film Festival. Jan Ole Gerster, a German filmmaker, made the film, and it was, I believe, his first English language film. It stars three amazing English actors: Sam Riley, who we got to see in Bulk, Stacey Martin, and Jack Farthing. And so Jack Farthing and Stacey Martin come to a resort at Fuerteventura, Canary Islands, and Sam Riley is the tennis pro that seems like he's having a little hard of a time, like a little bored, a little hard. Every night's the same. Quite goes out late, drinks a lot. And then he gets somehow amused by this couple and their son who asked for tennis lessons, and then something mysterious happens, and Jack, the husband, goes missing, and it just continues to get more and more mysterious for a while. But yeah, I won't give too much away. But Emma, let's talk a little bit about what makes this film. I think you and I loved this film. We can't stop talking about it. And what is it about this film that we love?
Oh my God. I'm gonna say I love Sorry Baby, but I think Islands is my festival film.
Yeah, for me too.
And my first of all, the first 20 minutes of that film, you and I were just deeply uncomfortable, but in that really satisfying way, because every interaction between the characters on that screen was so intense and weird and uncomfortable and so well written, full of awkward silences. You could cut the tension with a knife. And it was so compelling. Like, I could not take my eyes off the screen, even though I felt like I was just cringing inside. And I love that. And it reminded me of the opening scene of Triangle of Sadness, probably
Yeah,
one
that's
of
a
my
really good
top 10
call.
films. That really extended level of deep, awkward anxiety between a group of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it has an Auslan feel for sure, like in certain aspects of the uncomfortableness of, yeah, posh people and whatnot, or just like characterization of people and you've seen. But there's something just yeah, I think to use the word like sun drenched, the way it was filmed, the way like the like. And we asked Sam, and I think we have a little bit of clip, but you asked Sam a little bit around the fact that obviously he is completely in almost every scene of the film as the tennis pro. But there's not much dialogue, and yet there's so much going on. So we talked about so much tension, and here's a little clip of what Sam said about that.
I think one of the things that's, I think, appealed to all of us is that, the hardest thing to act is expositional dialogue. That's really where you earn your money, because no one ever speaks like that, and it's really, really difficult to play. When you're not saying things, it's more human. And I think when we were filming, we spent a lot of time taking dialogue out of it, and it made it more ambiguous and more mysterious and more true. It's great playing stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's Sam Riley, who plays Tom, the tennis pro. Also, I am just a massive, as you know, tennis on film person. So I ate up Challengers multiple times, and I will watch Islands probably on repeat whenever I need a moment just to sit in the sun mentally. But I really also would like to go back to the other actors as well. I mean, Stacey Martin's role is like absolutely incredible, but just also like tense and like funny in parts. I mean, we both were like laughing hysterically at the martinis.
Yeah, she's again, so much of the film happens in what's not said, which is great, but also Stacey's character in particular is just veers off track in terms of where you think it's going to go. Her character is completely unpredictable, and defies kind of all the expectations, which adds to that awkwardness and that uncomfortableness throughout the whole film, and is also very funny. And she plays it really delicately. Like, there's no cliche, there's no over the top stereotypical behavior. It's really subtle, but also you're caught off guard all the time, which I thought was excellent. And that's really centered. Her character in particular kind of has that characteristic.
Yeah.
And Jack's character as well, Dave. Again, that all of the characters could be very cliched.
Yeah.
There could have been that risk, but you have empathy for all of them. You kind of fall in love with all of them. You identify with all their flaws and weaknesses. They're very human. So you're kind of rooting for all of them. There's no bad guy. They're all grey.
Well, I was always gonna say there's no good guy. Like, there's nobody that you actually like or can say is an exceptional character. But they are very mysterious and they're very interesting. And I don't know if I feel safe with any of them, but I do feel like they were worth like having a couple martinis with. And and they're intriguing and interesting. And there's things about the film, like there's, I've never been to the Canary Islands, but it is got, and you very much mentioned it, but it's got this like very nostalgic feel to,
Yeah.
and the sense of exoticism and there's this camel that comes in and out of scenes and just beautiful, beautiful shots as well. But there's totally this otherworldness to it. It's not your everyday lifestyle. It's somewhere you've traveled to and do strange things or strange things happen. It's very, as we said, neo-noir and full of so much vibrancy in terms of story and mood and tension.
Yeah. I think the location plays like I got Agatha Christie vibes off the
Yeah.
film. I've read that Jan Ola, the director, was very influenced by Patricia Highsmith. So it's that sort of noir crime, slightly out of time, old fashioned, exotic location, but also Fuerteventura is barren. It's sun bleached, it's empty, it's these vast landscapes, but it's also an island. You're trapped, you can't go anywhere. So that sense of never being able to escape like really plays well.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
it's worth watching again, and I think for the characters, for the story, for just everything about it, and it's worth checking out more of the director's work in the future because I think this is, yeah, as you said, the standout for us of the festival, and yeah, my favorite, and I'll be talking about it for months now. Emma and I, yeah, we got a lot of opportunities to talk to filmmakers, which is really quite exciting about this film festival. They're often just because of the vibe of Edinburgh, it's in smaller venues and whatnot. It does feel like the connection to the filmmakers is way more like approachable, and there's just more space to talk to filmmakers. So we're gonna go through a few. We did some sit down interviews, and as part of the show, we'll be talking about them. But I guess we'll just do a little overview of over the films as well. So the one we were really interested in seeing and interviewing was Julie Pacino's "I Live Here Now." So another debut film for the festival. Julie Pacino is, yes, the daughter of Al Pacino. So you hear Pacino, you wonder, and that is true. And the film, again, I mentioned this briefly when we talked about Two Neighbors, but I got a little bit of Emerald Fennell vibes. I got a little bit of a like body horror sort of vibe where this, the filmmaker takes you into this world of, so it's definitely generational trauma that's happened to her, and then ends up in this kind of bizarre Alice in Wonderland hotel motel where she encounters a host of women with various kinds of what would you say, just different personalities and different
Eccentric
yeah.
personalities.
Yeah, and it's like every corner is a new surprise or a new shock. So I found this yeah, I found it to be quite entertaining, quite vibrant, quite interesting film. So we did it was at, I think it premiered at Fantasia first and then went to Locarno. I think it was getting a lot of good buzz in Locarno. And then came to Edinburgh as part of the Midnight Madness Strand. And I sat down with Julie Pacino as part of the festival. So when we come back, we'll take you in a little clip from that. So we're back, and I'm here with Julie Pacino, the director of I Live Here Now. Julie, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I honestly admit on the show often to the team that I'm not always a horror fan, but I go to horror films for the show, and but I have been particularly drawn to horror films directed by female directors like Julie Ducournau and Coralie Ferjat, and I was really interested in seeing your film. And like theirs, I found your story. I mean, I found the story to feel very visceral, and I feel like as women, we feel a real response to the horrorness of that. And I heard this is a very personal film, and I wanted to know what made you want to make this film in this genre.
Yeah, well, it's my first feature, so I did want to do something quite personal, and I think the horror genre really lends itself to that because you can weave in deep-rooted personal things while also making it entertaining. I didn't want to trauma dump on anyone, but I had some stuff to get off my chest, and so I really had a lot of fun playing around in the genre and leaning on the campy horror of it all. And I don't know, there's like right now, the women you just mentioned, like there's just such a freedom within the genre that I was really excited to dip my toe in.
Yeah, great. And we definitely got strong David Lynch vibes, of course, with Shirley, but Kubrick vibes and even a little bit of Emerald Fennell, A Promising Young Woman. What are some of your inspirations for making this kind of film?
Yeah, definitely the directors you mentioned. Also, I'm a big Terry Gilliam fan, and Jane Schoenbrunn. I saw the TV Glow. We're All Going to the World's Fair. These sort of allegorical spaces are really intriguing to me, and I find that Jane's films often I'll watch them or when I first watched them, and they ended, there's sort of this like emptiness, and then suddenly just these emotions came out of me, and I love that. I love a movie that can get under your skin in that way, and it kind of hits you on your way out of the theater. So lots of, I could go on forever about inspirations. I'm a movie fan, and I love this genre.
Yeah. So I think I heard something from your cinematographer Aaron or yourself talk about how collaborative the process is, and so some of the characters are very much other people within the crew and stuff. Can you talk about a little bit about how you made this film in a collaborative way?
Yeah, I mean, film is inherently a collaborative medium, and I love making things with like-minded creatives. I love encouraging other people on set to bring their creativity to it. I think that's my style of directing, is to sort of trust that my collaborators are really good at what they do, and that's why I hired them. And I love encouraging people to, like, there's no bad ideas, just here's the feeling I'm going for, here's how the emotion I'm trying to direct this emotion, and what do you production designers feel like is the best shade of pink to express that. And so that's really what I kind of identified as the job of a director to be, and that lends itself to being collaborative and just like leaning on all these amazing people around me. It was such an awesome crew, and my cast as well. Just everyone, brought their A game.
And speaking of pinks and neon bright colors, I think it's such a dynamic space that you create, and you worked with a cinematographer you worked with for a while, and also in 35 millimeter and 16 millimeter. So why was that? What was that choice to do that?
Yeah, Aaron. So Aaron and I have worked on a few shorts together, and he also has been the lighting designer on a lot of my photographs, which I've shot on film. I'm also a portrait photographer, and so there's just a shorthand there that he and I developed, and a mood that I really love that he's able to identify, and colors that particularly speak to me. So the choice to shoot this movie on film was initially a product of that, like, and celluloid, just the grit and the imperfections of it really lend itself to the rawness that I was going for this movie. I also really love the way that shadows, that film renders shadows and bright colors. And so I knew that
with with this project and building it all on a soundstage, that I was going to want a lot of that to enhance the mystery and the emotions. And so it kind of just was a natural choice to shoot on film. I only want to shoot on film now though, so I'm spoiled. That's the problem leading into whatever I make next.
Yeah, I did one 16 millimeter when I was really young, and it was like you never wanted.
I can't go back. We got to get
totally understand, and you shouldn't if you can. We thought it was very interesting, the focus on female characters and relationships, the dynamics between each other. Like the male is not as important as all of the female, and sometimes not so nice, between the all. And then, as Emma, my colleague, pointed out too, it could be maybe internal, felt like a little bit sometimes like the Satan devil on your shoulder sort of thing. So why were you very interested in sort of those female relationships specifically?
Maybe just from life experience, and just, I think a lot of, I don't know, I think there's a lot of internalized misogyny that occurs amongst women. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're exerting that. And it's kind of like, wow, where did that come from? That's not me. And it's like, oh, the patriarchy taught me that. And so, I don't know, I love working with women. And I think it was again, just like a natural thing for it to be a predominantly female cast. The men in the film are great. I thought Matt did such a wonderful job with the character, and really, because I think Travis is also a victim of oppression, and his mother is also kind of decides what he does with his body, and I thought that was an interesting thing to sort of like peek at. Obviously, the story is roses, but that's an aspect of it. So I don't know. I loved working with these women on this project. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. We love that. So the film premiered at Fantasia and then Locarno as well. But now you're doing Edinburgh Midnight Madness tonight. Exactly. What are you looking forward to seeing in that kind of vibe, like a midnight screening?
I don't even know what to expect. I'm so excited. It will be the first midnight screening that I've ever gone to. I didn't realize they were actually at midnight. I thought that was just sort of like horror midnight thing. So I don't know what to expect. We got here yesterday. The city is awesome. It's electric right now. It's buzzing. So I'm hoping that some of that energy comes through into tonight's screening. And it's always fun to experience this movie with an audience. And I don't know. I think this region of the world, hopefully the humor will speak to this region. I think there's a really great sense of humor here. So I'm excited for that stuff. Laughing is always a nice way to get everyone to let their guard down before I get in there and fuck with them. I'm expecting a good time.
Yeah. And from what we've seen in our past Midnight Madness, it's a lot of great energy in the room, which is what you want for your film, for sure.
Hopefully there'll be a couple people who have dropped some acid or something, and then they'll have a real trip, maybe a couple beers too. Would
definitely, definitely rowdy crowds often. Yeah. But, Julie, thank you so much for taking the time. We loved your film, and best of luck as it continues to go around.
Thank you.
Different things.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the next.
Thank you for watching.
Another film as part of the competition, the Sean Connery competition. Who knows will win? Unfortunately, when we're recording this, we do not know. But Two Neighbors was one that we talked about earlier, reviewing all together. Another one was Novak, and I know Emma, you were very interested in seeing this, particularly because of the main actor in the film. And tell us what Novak's about.
So this was a world premiere by a very young Greek director and cartoonist, Harry Lagoussis. And it stars Ella Humph, who we know from Nymphomaniac, and she does a lot of quite, I would say, intense films, art house films. And it also stars Zlatko Buric, was one of my main reasons for wanting to see the film. He has been around forever. He's kind of like the Steve Buscemi of European cinema. You've seen him in many things. You might not know his name. He was recently in Superman. He plays the eccentric Russian billionaire in Triangle of Sadness. In fact, he almost always plays an eccentric Russian billionaire. But in this film, in which he's the lead character, he plays a scientist from Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, who in his youth was exiled from his country for his theories and his sort of slightly outrageous theories on electromagnetic poisoning. And he becomes a recluse, and then his science is rediscovered by a younger generation, which is our generation, these kind of sort of Gen Z climate revolutionaries or wannabe climate revolutionaries who who hunt him down, find him, and kind of adopt him as their leader. And the film then builds on this relationship between the aging scientist who's having a second shot at being appreciated for his work, and these young, idealistic, pie-eyed, want to change the world group of very young people who become. It deals with this relationship that almost becomes sort of cult-like, which is very relevant to our times. We live in the era of the tech guru and the lifestyle influencer.
Or the alien conspirator.
Wild theories, UFO spotters, Russell Brand type characters. And it's very much a dialogue between what happens when, the who's the leader, who's the follower, who's manipulating who, when does idealism and a desire to do better actually become egomania. So really interesting given the world we're living in at the moment. And I really loved how that relationship between all these people played out on screen. It's a very quiet film. It's technically a sci-fi, but it plays in a very subtle, very realist way. There's a few playful elements to it, but I thought it was a really solid debut film for this young director, and a lot to chew on.
I like their
quite
weird
esoteric.
bubble water backpacks as well.
Yeah, bubble water backpacks that look like something from Back to the Future.
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of cool.
So anyway,
Yeah.
you sat down with the whole, a few, the director and a few of the filmmakers. So when we come back, we'll be hearing a part of that interview.
And we're back. We're at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, and we are here with the director and the cast of Novak, which has its world premiere tonight at the festival. So Harry, first of all, welcome to the festival, and how does it feel to be having your world premiere here tonight?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's a great place. It's a great festival. I've been here from day one, and I'm staying for the whole run. Yeah, for me, it's what I've been working towards for so many years, to finally get to see the film with an unsuspecting audience.
Yes. And this is the first time, Zlatko and Ella, that you're going to be seeing the film as well. What are you hoping the audience are going to take out of it? What sort of reaction are you hoping for?
We're very curious about how the audience is going to react, because it's I think, very unusual story and a real proposition. When I read the script first, I I thought just like I've never read something like that. It's a real proposition. It's a film who takes a risk, and I just felt like it can be really hilarious to do this film. So I'm really excited to just see how the audience kind of will react to this proposition.
No, I think it's great that it's on the festival. I'm very happy about it because the film festivals are special places. It's like temperature is higher and focus is more sharp on it, and it's always so interesting to play for festival public or know that. So yes, so we hope tonight it will be great.
It will be. Can you tell me how you came to make this story? How did you come about the creative idea for it? How long has it been brewing?
Okay, but it's a long story again, but I'll keep it short. Now, the idea first came. One of the first inspiration was Wilhelm Reich, who was a psychoanalyst, a brilliant psychoanalyst who ended up shooting down UFOs with cosmic orgasmic energy, and then was put in jail, and he died there. And he died in prison, and then he became a huge figure in freedom of speech and stuff. Because in the United States, they put him in prison and they burned his books in the 50s. And basically, the first idea that came to because I'd read his books, I knew about him, and then I wondered, so what if he hadn't died in prison, and what if he had been convinced that all his life's work was a lie, was nothing, and how would he go on living? And yeah, so that was over 20 years ago, and then I started researching the script in 2014, basically. Started writing in 2015, found my Greek producers in 2017, so it's been a long process.
Wow. And was it Wilhelm Reich, the name?
Uh-huh.
Was he a direct influence on Dr. Novak and Zlatko's character, or did you give other influences to read or be inspired by it?
Yeah. No, she was the original influence, but then lots of other. There were many other influences as well. But I don't know how Zlatko sees it.
But this fact that Wilhelm Reich is some kind of I don't know, the circle around the story is super interesting for me. I was in Zagreb in university in 70s and studied psychology. And Wilhelm Reich was a person really hot for us, one kind of anti-authoritarian communist in opposition to Stalinism, and his book Mass Psychology of Fascism was one of the book you had to read at that time, and his little essay "Listen, Little Man." It was like a because in that time in Yugoslavia it was one kind of opposition to the system, mostly from the right, from the nationalistic side, but it was also the left opposition, more left than how Yugoslav Communist Party was. And Reich was one of the center figure, but the end of the Reich was when he moved to state. It's strange because this his theory or more practice about this cosmic erotic energy and his followers, it started to look some kind of the cult phenomenon in the follower, and it's so in like a artist, like a actor, for me it was a great story because it's some tragical contradiction in the character between vision, anti-authoritarian vision, and the social structure of the group, which is a more hierarchical and more authoritarian, maybe in the Reich. So that is the frame of the stories. For me, it had this tragical potential in that, and so for me, I've been catch with this to say yes, and read the manus with a big interest. Even our story is pretty far from this stuff with Novak said, but that was for me the focus. I thought about this character.
Interesting. Speaking of that dynamic, that sort of cult dynamic, the guru figure, and there's that sort of sexual strange energy as well that's happening as the group gets further and further into the mission. Can you talk about your particular dynamic as both characters, because they evolve quite a lot through the film, and how was it working together?
It's interesting because we talked a lot about how to establish that, and how we are in a very like open-minded like artist community who is really interested about these theories. And first it all seems quite light and being part of that activism, and at some point there is like some kind of isolation that happens within the group, and a dynamic that turns around, like that admiration for some kind of guru, and suddenly that thing of wanting to create a family, almost like some kind of. And what is interesting is like even the theory that he's talking about, it all seems very like you want to believe in what he's saying, and it all is very seductive and fascinating to a certain point, and then it just goes in a direction that becomes maybe a little bit weirder, and it was very interesting to keep it though on a very normal and human level within that connection, like that it's not something utterly shocking, or it's how suddenly something shifts and seems very normal. And I think that we try to keep that somehow, keep the absurdity of it and the humanness of how something can shift within a group dynamic. I feel like it.
Harry, at the core of your film is the book New Atlantis by Francis Bacon. And did you make the cast read this book? Was it quite central to the preparation?
Did I force you to read New Atlantis? I don't think so.
It was the suggestion that I did it with a part of the book there. It's suggestion now. Try to.
Talk to me about this vision of utopia, because, Dr. Novak talks about revolution and being a revolutionary. And do you feel it's even possible in our modern era now to be revolutionary, or are we really destined to just be sheep and destroy ourselves as a society?
Personally, I think it's we absolutely have to be revolutionary, even though society will be destroyed. I mean, I have no high hopes for humankind, but that's because we were not revolutionary enough, and we just kept on with business as usual. And
And a last question. Oh yes, no, please.
For me, yes, and I mean, for me, this to work with theater and film is one part of that. To start utopia in that, and I came from theater, and I played and believe only in the group theater with another structure and another production, and in one part of my life, I'm an actor in the film industry, which is how its name is industry. I mean, it can be good, but on another way. But in this film, it was a little touch of that, because Heretic is like a production company, or it has a little bit touch of this utopistic thinking. And also between Ella and me, like actors, we are it's a big generation gap between us, but so it was nice and interesting, because on one way Ella also is a part of her generation contra-culture, and me, and so it was like in one part, film was like a place where we exchange ideas and dreams.
It felt very collaborative when I was watching it, and I had a feeling maybe you probably all worked a bit like a theatre troupe. I don't know if that was the actual creative process on set. Was it quite improvised, or?
I mean, no, it was not so much improvised. I mean, the script was there and we really tried to follow it. But I mean, everybody brought its note. And I'm very sad, actually, that the most of the cast can't be here, because they're all incredible. And yeah, I really want to give a special mention that they have every single one has been so special to create this group dynamic, and it feels like we're not all together. Actually, it feels like we represent the rest of the group, but it was a really incredible feeling and experience to feel like also like they chose like people who have all their kind of vision about the world, and I think.
When the house in the Athens,
and we're shot in
like our squad house with the community, and a lot of that was not like an ordinary film set, but it was like we are going in our house,
That's really nice. Well, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the premiere.
Hi, welcome to Carbridge Village Hall. Let me show you around. This is the Bridge of Car, and it's also known as the Coffin Bridge because it takes you to the cemetery. And this is my workshop where 4,500 spurtles are made every year for the championship. This is Carbridge Railway Station. For a small village, we're very well connected.
I was out walking the dog in the woods, thinking of what we could do, and it just came to me as the porridge. Can you make a competition out of making porridge?
The ingredients:
water, oatmeal, and salt.
How hard can it be?
The most perfect rounded bowl of porridge is a marriage of all these three things together.
Lisa Williams is a defending champion.
And when you hear it making that bloop, bloop, bloop noise, then that's when I start timing it.
The only famous porridge-making person I know is Ian Bishop. As mad as a March hare.
And what oats will you be using?
Why would I want to tell you? Other people would get to know.
It's the build-up to the competition, so it's the week when we're pulling everything together. You're getting a little bit nervous, a little bit excited.
No, listen, Fiona. I don't have time to argue with you. We'll do it your way.
When you whack a kitchen in a suitcase and try and take it to the other side of the world, inevitably something can and probably will go wrong.
Just let the oats sing. I feel like they need to be heard.
I wouldn't dream of entering. In fact, I'd probably get the booby prize.
This became the home of the porridge, and it's been here for 30 years now, and hopefully another 30.
Saturday is the 7th. And welcome to Porridge Day.
Okay, and finally, we can't not but talk about a Scottish film, or at least a Scottish set film. We did take, and also a documentary where, as documentary lovers, we went and watched The Golden Spurtle. So The Golden Spurtle has been on my radar since CPH Docs, which I think it premiered at. But yeah, I love a competition documentary. So and I like a competition about, kings of pastry and and things that aren't like Tough Mudder. So as long as it's nothing like very, doesn't exert too much like physical energy, bring it on in a documentary. So the film is about a town, Carbridge, is that the name of it? Is it
Yeah.
Carbridge, which is in the Highlands, and it is one of your typical Scottish idyllic-looking small towns, but it just so happens every year to have a very important competition, which is the best world porridge competition. And so through the film, we get to learn about the town, the importance of the spurtle, which I knew very little about. I actually do know about the spurtle, having lived here for a bit, and the importance of porridge, but the importance of using the spurtle in making porridge, the importance of the very few ingredients that it takes to make a good thing of porridge, but all the work that it goes into it. And it's actually was directed by an Australian director, Constantine Costi, who I think found out, well, we will find out because we're talking to him, but found out about the film, about the competition through an Australian taco chef who does come to be part of the competition. So we learn a lot about the town, but we also learn a lot about the characters who would come to be part of one of these, like, Guinness World Record sort of competitions. And they're all great characters. So, different slice of life from, and it's fun to see who wins, which we won't tell you. But I do say the star of the show is the leader, the person who runs the Golden Spurtle competition, which is a lovely man named Charlie. And he really steals the whole show. So if that sounds like your kind of documentary, and it should be, you should check it out. And when we come back, we will be talking to Constantine, who is the director of The Golden Spurtle. Back, and we're here with the director of Golden Spurtle. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great to be.
Yes, I hear you just came to Edinburgh via Sydney. So
that's right. A short trip, and yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and your film is very much about Scotland. Yeah. So, and I really, really loved the fact that it portrays a small town and in almost its entirety, but getting ready for the big festival that comes in every year. That's very important. So why did you pick this town in particular, and how did you even find out about it?
Yeah, I think the village was just screaming out to be documented, really. Yeah. I mean, it's such a picturesque, gorgeous place full of like hilarious, charming locals. So what's not to love? But I mean, we follow an Australian competitor in the film, Toby Wilson. So he told us about this competition, and I just sort of went on my own, largely unannounced, and was knocking on doors and met Charlie Miller, who we follow in the competition, who's the chieftain of the event, and was completely enamored not only by the joyful absurdity of making a porridge competition happen year after year, but also a deeper story about legacy and how do you spend your years when you're older, and how do you use your time. And so I think we found this Trojan horse of a porridge competition to maybe express something a bit deeper about what do you do with your remaining years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Charlie specifically is such a absolutely lovely character and such a great sort of main protagonist. And so how did it how did you get him to sort of agree to be so widely focused on in this film?
Yeah, I mean, so Charlie and I really I did I think about 3 or 4 trips in total to Carbridge, and Charlie and I developed quite a close bond. I mean, when I first met him, again, I just knocked on his door off the back of like a fleeting email. And I remember he was sitting there with me, and he had a cup of tea on one knee and a biscuit on the other, and kind of leaned in his dry Scottish accent and said to me, what are your intentions? And I was like, well, Charlie, we'll just kind of build this together. And we went in with a spirit of collaboration, made it very clear that we weren't interested in taking the mickey out of people, and not sort of like, we wanted to laugh with people, not at people. And so I feel like Charlie definitely developed an instinct for what we were going to do, because in a way he's kind of an artist himself. He uses this porridge competition as his canvas to create something really special and exciting. And so I think in a way it felt like I was almost co-directing it with the village and with Charlie at the same time. And that way we were able to develop a rapport, and he was so kind of up for anything. So it was a joy.
Yeah, and I love those moments when you're sharing the different people in the town, where kind of like the before they start, so you kind of get that the small town. I don't know, it's just very it makes it feel very natural, I feel.
Yeah.
And everyone seemed to have, which I've experienced living in Scotland,
Right.
a great pride for their town and sort of their history and sort of, and the culture that comes with that. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, I think part of the joy as well was us being a mainly Australian team as well. So these kind of outsiders rocked up,
Mhm.
and I think people were really like willing to open their doors and to, as you say, to share what they're proud about their village and what they do. So yeah, it was actually kind of like we spent half of our time at the pub having cups of tea in people's houses as much as we did making a film. And I think that kind of hopefully shines through in the film, that it has this sort of gentle intimacy to the whole thing, which I think is kind of special.
Absolutely, and you could tell what you said with your tone. It was you had a really strong rapport with the whole, with everyone. I did notice you picked a few people out. I mean, obviously the Australian taco chef, but I know Tracy a bit from me, yeah, because of other events that we've done in Edinburgh. So I recognized her pug. And so I loved that. But how did you choose sort of like some of the other characters? I thought particularly the London, character. It was quite fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, so that's right. We couldn't track everybody. About 30 people entered the competition, and it's credit to Rebecca Lamond, the producer, who kind of went through everybody and had a very strong instinct for who was going to be interesting and who we wanted to follow. The great sort of gift from the porridge gods across the film was that so many people we followed made it to the final. Like we obviously had no control over who's going to make the final round, and we were very it was kind of like a great happenstance that so many of the people that we followed from the very beginning made it to the final round, and that was kind of perfect in a way.
Yeah, we were very happy with the winner, I think.
And yeah, what a perfect person to win the competition as well. Again, a kind of an outsider, but I think also someone who speaks the enduring power of community and tradition, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you can participate in something like this.
Absolutely. So you've had it at CPH Docs. What was that the world premiere? Or?
That was the world premiere.
Right. Okay. And then it's been in Sydney as well.
And Melbourne.
Yeah. So how do you feel about bringing it to Scottish audiences?
Well, this is the fear, isn't it? That, it's like, oh my goodness, we're these outsiders kind of depicting something that people know so intimately and cherish so much. But I think overall I'm excited because I think, it's, again, we had nothing but adoration and love for the community that we showcase. So it's kind of nice to sort of, to kind of, to share it with local audiences. So I'm sure we'll have a different response, with all of the in-jokes and maybe a few things that would go over an Australian or a Danish audience's head. I think there's a lot of kind of like tongue-in-cheek glint in their eye that maybe a Scottish audience will have a stronger instinct for.
Oh, completely. I totally feel that way, Ed. But I also think it was the way you shot it was I love the 4:3 sort of aspect, and it really brought a beauty to, maybe, I mean, it's obviously a beautiful land, but but it gives it this sort of extra special presence with sense of like nostalgia mixed together. So I think everything it heightens the the experience as well. So
Completely. I mean, this was the thing in sort of going for quite a unique visual style with these locked off, very sort of painterly compositions. And Dimitri, the cinematographer, and I were just very keen on reflecting how we felt about the village and how we saw it in this sort of, as you say, nostalgic, painterly, almost like a picture book kind of energy that, that aesthetic was just led from the village itself. We didn't really go in with an imposed idea of how we wanted to shoot it. It just felt like the best way of capturing the spirit of the place.
yeah, great. And so it's premiering here in Edinburgh, but it will be distributed across the UK, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So the wider release in the UK is the 12th of September.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time. It was really lovely, and we really loved your film.
Cheers. Thanks, Amanda.
So that wraps up our very busy week at the Edinburgh International Film Festival. We had a blast. Really took in the press lines like pros, I would say. But we're looking forward to doing some more. So anyone has some suggestions of other film festivals we should go to, we'll be heading there. But yeah, we really had a great time with the Edinburgh International Film Festival. Really, there's so many films I still haven't seen from the program that I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing Brides, which is going to be coming out. I heard it was really good. It's going to be coming out in very shortly. So how about how about you both? What are you looking forward to?
There's a Turkish film that I wasn't able to catch, but I do believe it's coming out very soon, called Hysteria. Which is a crime thriller, so obviously I will love that. I also want to give a shout out to a film we saw, sort of a bit of a last minute decision that was excellent, which was Lowrider.
Yeah.
A really beautiful film about it's kind of a queer coming of age road trip film, rediscovered family, found family, all set in South Africa. So it's just got these stunning landscapes, a beautiful cast, gorgeous music. It's an incredibly touching film that deals with very complex relationships and race relations, but in a really kind of beautiful way. Really enjoyed that.
And that's in the competition as well. And to
Yes,
be
it
honest,
is.
when we are recording this, it's a couple days before the end of the film festival, so we are yet to know who's going to win. But when you see this, you will.
I don't have seeing as we're still in the middle of the festival, I don't have much of a deep cut to give on what I'm excited for. I am actually just keen to see Eddington, even though people have panned it. So
Yeah, I am as well. I
yeah,
missed it
I'll
when I
keep
was back in the States, and I really am looking forward to I love a panned film at Cannes, so let's go for controversy.
absolutely. I know, I'm very excited. I'm also keen to see Steve as well when that comes out. So yeah, it's my imminent looking forward to before I start considering next year's festival run. Like I'm already thinking ahead to May to Open City Film Festival from
All right, well, and I'm looking forward to seeing Materialist, which I've missed because multiple times now. I could have seen it in the States now, and I wanted to see it anyway. But I will say I have to plug our next Cinetopia doc, which is on the 17th of September. And I'm really excited about this film. I'm going to be talking to the filmmaker for the pre-recorded Q&A later this week, but it's called Mistress Dispeller. And it's around a new vocation, a growing vocation in China, where people are hired to come in and help dispel a affair happening within a Chinese romance. So it's a lot around the Chinese Chinese love and finding love and and the importance of marriage within the culture. But on top of that, an exceptionally beautiful film by a filmmaker, Elizabeth Lowe. She got her her work. Like she got her debut with the film Stray, which was really successful a couple years ago. But this film is not to be missed, and it will be the only time you will see it in Edinburgh, as far as I know, in the foreseeable future. And so please check our website out for that. Tickets coming imminently, and I'm sure we'll be doing a networking as well, so look out for that, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully at one of those events. So on that note, thank you both for taking on the Edinburgh International Film Festival challenge. It was tiring, it was amazing, it was everything we wanted it to be, was it not?
It was a lot of fun, definitely.
Okay, thanks so much, and see you next time.